Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm your host, Rachel, and we're just going to give a minute or two while we wait for people to come in. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've had a record number of signups, which is so great to see, especially in the new year, because clearly you see the value of UGC and you want to take next steps to make it profitable for you, whether you're in-house at a brand, looking to grow their, paid social, organic marketing, or if you're in-house at an agency and want to get your clients to use UGC more across all aspects. Maybe as an agency, you're already offering them other services, paid media, SEO, all that, and UGC is something you're considering adding to your offerings. Hopefully this session will give much insight into that. But yeah, thank you so much for everybody that's just coming in. I'm waiting a minute before we officially get started. I'm your host, Rachel. It's really nice to be speaking with you. Obviously, I can't see you, but I'm assuming you're all sat behind your screens. But yeah, just a bit of general housekeeping as well. You're more than welcome to just have me in your ears. Maybe you've got work going on. Maybe you're eating your lunch. No pressure at all to, be super involved. If you just want to hear it, you will be receiving a follow-up email after this with the full presentation, with resources and materials to help you get started in getting that internal buy-in or building a UGC strategy for yourself. So do join the session so that you do get the best explanation of everything. But of course, I'm just happy you're here. All right. Hello. Oh, it's really nice if you are commenting in the chat. I do appreciate that. We do have a moderator here from our team, Pilar. So you're more than welcome to ask questions during the session. I will likely get to it afterwards where we will have a Q&A, but do just drop it in. You never know, somebody else might be having the same questions. No question is silly. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in today. This is a webinar brought to you by Twirl, the UK's #1 UGC platform. And I'm your host, Rachel Nielsen, that's going to be walking through it with you today. Just a bit of background. I lead content and creative strategy here at Twirl. You may have likely been mostly in contact with our account managers, somebody that's looking over your campaigns, making sure things are on track. I happen a bit more behind the scenes, or rather the first point of contact when you join Twirl, whether that's through creative strategy sessions or supporting you with your actual whole UGC strategy. I work a lot in research and proposing strategic concepts to our clients in that way. So yeah, that's where we're coming from. And yeah, as I said, there will be a Q&A session, so you're more than welcome to already drop questions now so that we can get to those at the end. And this session is being recorded, so if you're not able to stay to the end, or if you miss your question being answered, you will receive an email afterwards with a link to watch the replay and receive some downloadable resources. But yeah, let us get into it. So we're going to be talking about UGC and how you can turn it into your secret weapon, whether you're an agency looking to have a new offering for your clients, or if you are a brand and somebody working in-house wanting to scale your socials, paid media, all of that. And we are Twirl. We work with over 6,000 vetted creators, and we've completed hundreds of campaigns over the last 3 years that we've been in business. And so we know UGC, we live and breathe UGC, and that's where we're coming from today. So as the creative strategist here at Twirl, the biggest question I see is always, how do I convince my boss to let us do more of this? We know UGC works, we've used it, we've tested it, and we just want to really build a strategy that can help us see long-term growth. And that's often the struggle, is helping and getting your higher ups to see that, yes, this is something we should offer as our services. This is something that we should be using across our channels. And so that is what we're going to be covering today. So hopefully by the end of it, you are able to pitch UGC with confidence. I'll be giving a framework for proving that return on the investment. And of course, an action plan to get started, because the last thing we want is to overhaul your entire strategy already. That's not what this is. We want to do things effectively so that you can scale. All right, awesome. So let's start first with the power of UGC. Let's just get the basics out of the way. UGC is not here to replace other forms of content. That's one of the main objections that higher ups get, is like, is that going to like take over our influencer marketing? Is that going to get rid of, all our static ads? Like, we can't just introduce a new format and run with it. Savannah, slow down. What we're doing here with UGC is it's doing a completely different job, but actually fills a gap that most brands have, which is consistent and authentic, believable content that performs. UGC refers to user-generated content, but of course, any content that is created by real, everyday customers, and this includes, testimonials, reviews, photos, it can be, and this is used across your paid media, across your organic social, but can also be used across all other mediums, digital mediums as well. But it is a really powerful form of marketing because it's authentic, it's amplifying your customer voice, and it showcases your product with real people. So yeah, that's what we're just settling the basics here. One thing I do want to highlight as well is, with that is, like I said, we're not going to get rid of traditional ads or get rid of your influencer marketing. What we're doing is just giving you a new space to relate more to your audience and to build that trust with your customers, which brings that return at the end. And yeah, so that leads on to the next point, which is what people think UGC is versus what it actually is. And on that previous note, it's not just another content format. It's not just something where you're hiring creators, getting the content and post it. That is one way to start. You never know until you start. So I do recommend going with that. But when you actually want to look at UGC as something that will help you grow long-term, you need a strategy behind that. And that involves audience research, testing systems to know what insights you're going to gain from it, and of course, always optimizing on the performance, looking at what flops, what can we do better, looking at what went really well, what stats you got from that, and how is that going to then inform your future briefs. And that's where scaling the winners comes into place. And essentially also learning more about your audience. You think you have all this data on your audience, and maybe you do, there's so many tools to help you do that nowadays, but UGC is also a very cost-effective tool in learning more about your audience. And that's what creative strategy requires, all that. Yeah, sorry, I always go off on a tangent. So if I'm pausing, I'm really trying to not overbear. I just get so excited about this. So UGC creators bring that authenticity. Don't get me wrong, we're not scrapping that at all. If anything, we're championing it in a really smart way that will bring us results. And that's where the strategy comes into play. So I want you to pause for a second, also letting me pause. What's your current UGC approach? If you've got a pen and paper with you, think about this. Is it an ad hoc thing where you're just messaging creators, seeing if they'll do a video for you? Are you briefing them? Are you just letting them experience it and posting whatever? What are you testing? How do you know what's working? Write that down just as a framework when you're also pitching to your boss, this is what we're doing now, right? And then we're going to go into the strategy and the value of UGC and what it can bring across all your marketing. Awesome. A break for me. So, first point here is how you can use UGC across all your digital mediums. We're going now into building your case to get that buy-in. And this is a lot. I really screenshot this right now and send it to your boss because they probably do not realize all the different ways you can use UGC. Look at that, paid advertising, e-commerce, email marketing campaigns. That could look like taking a couple seconds of a video and turning it into a GIF. Gorgeous. I love seeing that in emails too, by the way. Website integration, putting it as part of the listing of a product. Shoppable videos are really going to be huge. So this matters so much because, as you can see, it's cost effective at scale. If you're just thinking, spending this amount of money for one video that we're going to run on social that's then going to like die out and lose its lifespan, that sounds expensive. I get that. But if you think about it, having this content bank then lets you use that video across all these other areas of your marketing. It influences everything as well. And as such, it drives measurable performance. You learn more across these different mediums, what the click-through rates are, what the cost per acquisition is for every customer that comes from that email, from that website where you did feature UGC versus maybe a listing where you didn't have any UGC on it. And of course, the engagement. What are people saying under your ads, under your organic posts? Automatically, you might have it, maybe it does underperform on one area, but still, it's not just a death there. It can come back to life in another form of your marketing. And that's what I mean when I say it really complements your overall marketing, not just one use case. Awesome. As you can see, so much opportunity. So now that you've shown them that it can be used across everywhere, you want to obviously back that up with the data. And we've got so much data on this already on our websites. These are the main things. Again, if you want to screenshot and quickly send it to them, be like, I'm in this really cool educational webinar right now. It's worth my time. Or wait to receive the slides afterwards so you can build your own. But yeah, most important things is that most customers do say that online reviews influence their buying decisions. That's why TikTok's becoming a whole search engine for finding recommendations. Your UGC should show up there as such. And yeah, it's just more persuasive and it just overall performs better because it looks more realistic. Not only that, but because you're using UGC, you're refreshing maybe like a tired ad account without increasing the spend behind it necessarily. So UGC just really helps get that ad watched for longer compared to maybe your other ads that you've got running. Yeah, so exciting. Sorry. So now that you've got the data behind that, you of course want to pitch it to your higher up, person running your agency, or in-house, maybe the person with the card that pays for it. So obviously you're going to lay it out in this way. You're going to identify the opportunity. Listen, we can use it across all areas. You're going to prove the impact with that data we showed. Here's all the different ways we can do it. And statistically, UGC content is performing really well when it's using in a way that complements the rest of your marketing. Have that data. And of course, you're going to want to position UGC for your particular brand, for your particular client, in a way that really benefits them. What are you going to test? And we're going to go into more of that in a few minutes, but let's get this down first. You're then, of course, going to show UGC examples. Got to show them that it doesn't mean you're going to get Molly May next week doing a campaign for you. Show them what UGC is, which is content creator that you might not recognize, but when you see them and they speak your language, you feel much more connected with them. Find a few examples within your industry or niche and the types of videos. And then you're going to outline a simple plan. So, boss, if we get started with UGC, here's exactly how I'm going to brief it, here's what we're going to test, and here's what the insights are going to look like, or what insights we're going to look for. And that's going to inform, yes, our paid media, but also other areas of our marketing. And then give them a clear next step. What are you going to do? Are you going to start reaching out to creators? Are you going to start building out the briefs? Or are you going to start turning to Twirl to help do that for you? That's what you want to give them. This is the framework. Moving on. So then you've got the ROI. And like I said, we'll go into this more, where a 3-step process, you're starting with the budget, you've got that buy-in, and then you're going to be doing the research, and then you're going to be developing the concepts for your initial test. And from there, it's not just post and run away and hide, which I know we are so guilty of doing sometimes, but you're going to be testing it, and you're going to be learning from it, looking at the insights. What can you learn from it? And from there, of course, scaling it. And based on that output, which might be improved ROAS, lowest cost per customer acquisition cost, higher conversion rates, all that is going to inform, again, to go right back. So let's take an example where maybe you're an agency and you're pitching a client on Q1 strategy. Maybe you're already helping them with their SEO. Maybe you're already helping them with, website design or something. You're going to show them how, by introducing UGC, or they now use you as an agency to offer UGC, you're going to offer 10 to 20 variations of a video to test. This is going to give far greater returns because you're refining the messaging. You already know your audience, but you're going to have different hook variations, different call to action variations. That's going to give you lots of great insight. Instead of maybe just a one and done 2 to 3 brand videos. You're then going to make that plan for them and position it as creative insurance across everything else you're already doing. But if you're a brand, it might be where you are asking, your higher up for more budget. You're like, great, we did that initial test. It worked really, really well. I really need more funds so that I can make more videos, make more variations of it, and learn more. And you, of course, want to do this in a way where you're connecting it to KPIs that they're already tracking. So, for example, UGC ads drove 35% lower cost per acquisition than brand creative in Q4. And then look at that and see, analyze that, put it together and say, here's what scaling UGC will look like in Q1 and how that will complement the rest of our brand creative in those ways. So maybe let's pause again. I've been yapping. Write down what's one metric that your boss or that your clients that you have at your agency typically care most about. Write that down, and that's going to be your anchor for making your case for UGC. Right? So now I'm going to show you where the money is. The UGC growth engine. Let's now talk about what it actually takes to turn UGC into a repeatable growth driver, accelerator, because this is where most teams get stuck. Maybe because UGC, sorry, I don't know where I was going with that actually, but this is where most teams get stuck. So we're going to dive into it. So what you see here is the creative strategy, all the planning behind that, which I'll get into, understanding your audience, research, identifying top performing formats across your space with your competitors, all that. Going into then the content production, finding the creator to then produce the content in a way that's authentic, maybe with different variations as well. What are you going to be testing and what are you going to be iterating on? And then, of course, learning from that and scaling what works. And all that then ties back into a loop. Once you know what's working, what didn't work, that then feeds back into your audience research, which then feeds back into your creative strategy. And that's just going to keep going and going. And you might start with, 2 main videos with 2 additional hooks each. And each month you can keep building on that. One persona, you might identify then 3 different ways to reach them. You might then want to test an additional way to speak to them. One format, maybe a testimonial face to camera works really well. How does that look when it's a lifestyle oriented content? How does that look in a different format? You constantly want to be refreshing your ad creative as well and constantly speaking to that audience. So what goes into this? Because it is not just hire, creator, post, and ghost. Understanding your audience. All these different questions, again, learning about your audience through, Reddit threads, going online, looking at your comment section, and all the things you're probably already doing to learn more about the buyer persona, essentially. And so this is what goes into it. I'm trying to think of an example. So for example, for a skincare client, you might want to test content for anti-aging concerns versus acne-prone skin. For each one, you're going to have different hooks, different creators, different outcomes, but all essentially targeting the people that's most relevant to, and that's feeding back to you. Do they respond? Do they purchase from that? What points do they drop off, etc. Maybe you're a brand as well, and you're a company, and you have content that's designed. Maybe let's talk about B2B content, because people think that B2B cannot be UGC, but it really can. Are you going to have content that's speaking to founders of a company to make decisions? Or are you going to be making content that speaks to the marketing manager, the HR professional there, to make their life easier? Again, all these different personas to help you understand your audience really well. And then you're going to go into building your testing system. What exactly are you going to be testing from this? And I kind of think of this when I do scripting. It's like, what story am I going to tell? And what are the different ways I'm going to tell that story? And this is not a one and done. That's why scaling always looks like a repeatable format. But this is what you're going to be intentional about. And going back to scripting, yes, we want the creator to share their authentic experience. And at the same time, every word that's uttered in that 30-second video needs to earn its place. I have a problem with that. I tend to waffle, but case closed. So building your testing system and all these points. And then from there, you're going to learn from all of that and pivot, analyze and iterate it all. Take the performance data, look at it, how did the founder-led content, not founder-led, but content speaking to the founder compared to content speaking to the marketing manager? What are some crossovers? What's different? What can we learn from that? And always tie this back to, remember when we wrote down the main concern, what your anchor is? Tie that back to that main metric you wanted to track. Was it, awareness and reach? Was it lead generation? Was it more just around social proof? And how can that lead to building more content in the future? And of course, all these other KPIs that we know about. So what this looks like, again, they're kind of the same. I know I'm speaking to both agencies and brands, so hopefully that's useful, but let's take this for example. Month 1, you're testing 10 concepts, 10 different videos, maybe with 5 creators, each doing 2 videos each. Then month 2, you're going to double down on the top 3 performers and introduce 5 new angles to tell that same story. Refreshed ad creative. Maybe if the audience didn't convert the first time, now that they're seeing you pop up again with telling that story in a different way, maybe that's then when it clicks for them and they convert then. And then month 3, you're scaling. Based on all of those, then looking at the ones that flopped, what are you going to do to bring those back? Was it just the hook that wasn't good enough? Was it actually, how the product was shown in that? How can you then maybe take that same story, but in a different format? Always optimize based on your learnings and scale the winning formulas across different channels. And so this is obviously a lot of work. Research takes a lot of time. Coordinating with creators is super admin heavy, and testing does require volume and iteration. It's literally my full-time job. And you as a social media manager, account manager, marketing director at your agency or company, you have a lot on your plate. I get that. This definitely is something that needs a lot of dedicated attention to make it work long term. That doesn't mean you shouldn't start now and test and get that buy-in to make it your full-time job. Or doing things in a way that's a bit smarter for yourself and for your team. Because like we said, we don't want you to be stretched thin. We just want you to get started and get this rolling. So that is where Twirl comes in. we were probably leading up to this whole time, but this is quite literally what we exist to do. We take away the admin side of things in terms of finding creators and all the contracts, all the signings. Twirl takes care of that all internally. But what's new as well is that we are offering creative partner plans, which is where you get to work with yours truly to work on a strategy for your brand. And I will literally come in and do a whole audit, propose different things to test so that we can take care of that heavy lifting and just get it rolling for you. So this is the end of the webinar. I did cover everything I wanted to. We're now in the next steps, which is go get started. And these are your options, whether that's with Twirl or of course doing it on your own, which my passion is just getting people to use authentic voices. Let's make marketing authentic. So this is why we're here. And so that's how we need. You're going to go get started. You're going to go to your boss right after this and say, listen, I just listened to this amazing webinar. UGC is going to skyrocket our sales, audience perception, organic performance this year. Let's get started. You're going to make your case, like I mentioned. What are your top audience segments? What data are you going to test? What are the KPIs you're going to track? And how are you going to source? Whether that's on your own, whether that's with Twirl, and in what capacity it would be with Twirl. That's what we're here for. But yeah, we offer all these different options, obviously, because we want you to have the most flexibility in getting started. And that was what the last slide was. So yeah, thank you so much. If you're still here, we are going to go into a Q&A session now. But I really appreciate you being here today. You clearly care about UGC and want to take it to the next level this year. And that's something we are so passionate about and want to help you with. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Awesome. Thank you. Oh, I love the lovely comments. Okay, no public questions, which I'm going to take as I am such a good explainer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. You will receive a copy of the presentation. And of course, we have a full content calendar as well to give you inspiration of ideas to pitch to your, I keep saying boss, but you know what I mean, people who make the decisions. And if you are the one watching this making the decision, this is your sign. UGC is going to be the thing that drives your growth in 2026 and complements the rest of your marketing strategy. So yay. Thank you. I'm just gonna, because we still have some people here, I'm just gonna quickly go through our creative partner plan. This is more of a new thing. It is a monthly rolling plan where I come in as your creative strategist. Because you're here on this webinar and you have stayed to the end, little treat for you. We are offering a free concept development if you go with our creative partner plan. That is worth £400 to develop the concept. You would just need to purchase creators to work on that, and of course, any other concepts that you want as part of it. And yeah, you'll essentially get to book a call with me. We'll dive into your brand goals, and I'm going to be researching and providing creative input and insights into the campaign process with you. You will still have control over creator selection, but I also step in and can give recommendations as well. So if that's something you're interested in, do get in touch and we can share more about that with you, because I'd love to work with you and help you make your brand more human. That brings me so much joy. But yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I'm going to end it now.